Strategist with the Matrix Fund, she chuckled when he said that.
I think we all did because we're wondering, I suppose, whether the minister is living in a parallel universe. Because if we look at last year, 2023, there were 332 days of load shedding. 74 of those days were on stage 6. So if you track this, not even since 2012 or before that, you just go during this last administration, the 6th administration, it's gotten progressively worse. So I'm not sure that that's a good story to tell, but this is why we have our guests here. Maybe they can help us unpack.
Well, go ahead. Who wants to take a bite first?
Yeah, I think the real paradox is how were we able to stop load shedding for about almost 3 years, and then load shedding started again. And until now, we cannot go and extract whatever formula was used then, because we have listened to the administration that time when we had Brian Molefe and Machela Koko at ESCOM. So that is always the big question that's in our minds, because those two are still walking around, they are still talking, and so that is the big question. And the fact that we seem to be now starting to celebrate when load shedding is reduced. The question is, the question that people are now asking themselves is there a time where we will completely eliminate this problem? So it looks like that has been moving. If you listen to the SG of the ANC, it was finished December last year, if you listen to him. And if you listen to the president, we are about to contain it. And I'm sure we will hear about, I hope this time, at least he will not be able to commit to a date. But if he does, we'll be noting that with a lot of interest. So the real question is, what actually happens within an organization that is tasked to do something, and that thing does not happen? And even with all the problems, no one is saying we are failing to do this, we are failing to do that, so that we can also understand, is it something that we know somebody that can do it, or even if they are having to motivate for budgets, could it be something that we can throw money at? Can we get somebody in another country to do it? It's all those things. It's very difficult for us to understand. We have got, this country has very good engineers, very good electrical engineers.
So what is happening? Gundo will come back to Kim to get her views on.
But we heard a lot there. I really love your views based on what you heard on the red carpet. Everywhere you look across South Africa, there is a problem. If you talk about water, we know, we've got real issues around drinking water and infrastructure and things like that. If you look at unemployment, particularly youth unemployment between 15 and 24, I think the expanded definition would be 71% of people in that band unemployed. How does an economy grow and sustain itself with those kinds of numbers, Kim?
Maybe it's also the other way around. I mean, if an economy isn't growing or sustaining itself, then you don't have employment. So I think, until we find a way to promote growth, unemployment is going to remain sticky and high. And my sense is, if we just look at ESCOM, for example, we can't really grow above 1% with load shedding where it is. So every time South Africa tries to grow above 1%, you just see that load shedding will kick in once again. But I think there's, load shedding is just one of the several problems. And we've all gotten to a point where I think we can cope with load shedding. I mean, people don't even really bat an eyelid anymore when lights go out. So we adapt. We're very adaptive, I think, as a society. That's what I've take out of the last couple of years. But I do think that when you have service delivery breaking down at the local government level like we do, it's very difficult for small business to get going. Like the startup costs that you don't have the resources there to make a business happen. You can't get a momentum going. You're finding everybody's moving out of rural or small towns. Everyone's coming into large metros. So whole sort of communities are I think being left to that local economy is starting to wane. So there's there's a whole lot of dynamics, I think, at play that make youth unemployment something that I don't know if we can tackle in the short term.
But this is something that government is not oblivious to. You know, we go back to President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address last year, and I like what he said because he was very clear about
Yeah.
the problem. To quote him last year, this time, he said that we are not presenting new plans for now. We are just outlining a full program of government. So no new plans. But then he goes on to say, rather, we are concentrating on those issues that concern South Africans most. And he listed them: load shedding, unemployment, poverty and the rising cost of living, crime and corruption. And those, I think all South Africans would concur, are the main issues that bedevil, you know, our day-to-day existence. But are we doing enough to hold government accountable? Because he's identified the problem. He said, we're not going to present any new plans. This is what we need to tackle. A year on,
So what does that tell you about the power that he has? It does seem that he doesn't have much power over the problems that are being faced.
if he doesn't have the power, who has the power?
Well, then I think we in a way we know the answer, and it comes up even from the parliamentarians that are speaking. You know, the questions that come out there. It does seem that our economy has been captured.
By whom?
It's honest. Well, it's when you look around at what's been going on in our SOEs and within organized crime and cartels and the kind of gangsterism that goes on in local government and political murders. You know, you got to, when you start putting that all together, in a sense, there's been a hijacking there. So I feel as though it's very difficult for our president to really have a lot of control over what's going on under his leadership.
I suppose the reason Sakina and I are looking at each other, I'm just guessing what's in your mind, is that there has to be leadership, and there has to be coordination, and there has to be accountability. And if the leader can't inspire that and procure that from the people that are deployed into these positions, then why are they there? Why is this? It's supposed to be a connective tissue, that works together efficiently and is able to shift the needle. Has the president moved the needle in the right direction, and on what?
Yeah. See, our government has got 3 spheres, not 3 tiers. There used to be 3 tiers of government, where national government was ahead, and you will have the regions, the provinces, and local government. Now we've got 3 spheres, and what that means is the mayor in a municipality is more powerful than a president who's sitting at national government. There is nothing that a president can impose on a mayor. So any time that you will find that the president is pushing something at local government level, the levers that he's using will be the fact that they come from the same political party. And this was locked like that in the constitution to avoid a situation where the president will use his powers to suppress progress in a municipality that is not controlled by the political party that he comes from. So now the problem is that when you go to local government, the quality of the level of education, let's just put it there, in some of the mayors and ward councillors, there was a report recently showing that about 300 ward councillors in KZN alone cannot read or write. That means they never went to school at all. Now, these are people who are controlling budgets of billions, and what type of decisions will come out of something like that? So if the president speaks here where you are saying he doesn't really have power, if he's speaking and he says we are going to build a new smart city in rural KZN and so on, now you are going to be pumping billions into a place where there is not one engineer, the political leadership have not really gone to school. It's not that it's an aspiration which may never translate into something on the ground because of the situation on the ground. It's just impossible. So I think if the state of the nation was about the how and not the what, we would then listen, because in the how we will see how credible the plans are. Because if you say we are going to have a bullet train, like he said in 2019, I see a bullet train connecting Johannesburg to KZ to Durban, KZN. We would sit and think about the capacity. The how train right now, they are reluctant to expand their services because they said during the construction process, they've had a problem with the construction mafia. They are afraid of the actual cost of, so there are many things that we don't really have control over. And you're right, that really requires leadership.
But my problem with that sentiment is, if people don't have control over what's going on, what sets them apart from you and I? Why are you then the president? Why are you the CEO of SA Inc.? If you are going to sit back hopelessly like the rest of us and have no control and no way of making a difference.